Hi, my name is Iffy Roma. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm 28 years old. I'm an acrobat, I'm a yogi, I'm a mover and a shaker, fire dancer, and I just did a prolong fast, and it was great.
Hey guys, my name is Andrew Perlout with Renaissance Humans, and today we're doing interview one of a three-part interview series, talking to three people who have done a Prolon fasting mimicking diet session, a 5-day session of eating a very limited amount of calories, basically a bunch of pre-made meals that come in a box, and it mimics the effects of doing a full water fast according to the science. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can see my review of using Prolon, but basically this is an interview series where I'm trying to get people to become more comfortable with the idea of fasting, to normalize it, to make people realize that it's actually something that not only sick people should do, but also healthy people, just as maintenance, and also just because it'll make your brain work better, it'll make your athletic performance better. So today I'm interviewing my friend Iffy. Iffy and I do partner acrobatics together. We also teach together. In a lot of ways, we're similar because we like movement, but we're also dramatically different people. Iffy can eat anything and not be fat. I can eat anything and be fat. Anything at all. So without further ado, let's talk to Iffy to see what her experience was using Prolon.
Could you start off by just talking about where you were in life mentally and physically to make you think like, hey, it might be a good idea to not eat very much for a while? Like, where did that come from?
I have never done a fast before, and I'm on this journey right now of figuring out how to be healthy and holistic and more in tune with my body. And I felt like doing a fast would help everything get quieter. So I think that's what brought me there. And I've been really curious about what are all the different coping mechanisms that I have within inside me that I use to not really deal with emotional stuff that's going on. And I feel like food is one of them. I'm a muncher, so I snack all day on cheese, and I'm a nighttime eater. So I know I shouldn't eat after a certain time, but I go back into the refrigerator and pick things. I even wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and eat chocolate and food while I'm basically sleeping.
Could you describe what it was like going into this? Were you starving from the beginning, or were there peaks and valleys of what you felt physically and mentally? Could you kind of just run us through what you experienced?
Yeah, well, first I was really excited to go into it, and I kind of just went into it with this idea of this is an experiment. And so when I would remind myself that I'm doing this experiment, I'm in control of this, and this is something that is for the benefit of my mind, body, and my soul, that was kind of the first fuel. That's really what fed me to keep going. But in terms of the peaks and valleys of actually feeling hunger, most of the time it wasn't that bad. I really liked the Prolon packets and the meals because when I was craving something, actually I was satisfied by what was in the packages, the soup and the olives. I love olives. The olives and the soup and the crackers gave me that feeling of being satiated when I was hungry. Most of the time I'd get really hungry when other people were eating, but because I had meals and the way that it's gapped out, I was able to also still participate in that kind of ritual and process without being excluded. I just had my own food. It also really made me eat slower. I'm a fast eater, and I think that's from living in a busy city and multitasking all of the time. And so yeah, I would eat really fast, but I wouldn't when your meals are so small and deliberate. I would really take that time to chew each thing and really taste all of the nutritional values that I was getting.
And so, in terms of physical energy, were there peaks and valleys, or was it pretty much steady throughout?
It was peaks and valleys, At first, I was just so excited about it, and my body was running off of, not much fuel. So my body didn't feel too tired on day one, but my mind was really scattered and I was very forgetful of a lot of things. Like I'd put my phone down and lose it, and I just felt very frazzled. Day two, I went to yoga. I mean, I live a very active lifestyle and I didn't really tone it back during the fast. And I would feel good and really in my body, and I would just notice that my body would go through the energy reserves pretty quickly. So I'd be doing yoga, and then all of a sudden, maybe like 10 minutes through, be like, whoa, okay, I feel that lethargic feeling setting in, and then I'd have to kind of tone it down a little bit and not be able to go as intensely. Also, I slept. I definitely went to bed every night at a very consistent time. So I would go to sleep at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and that was like way different than my typical way that I go to sleep.
And did you go to sleep for more total hours?
Yeah, definitely for more total hours. I was more deliberate about my sleep because I needed it for fuel, and I could feel it. Like my brain would just shut off at a certain point of the night, and it was like, oh, time for bed. Body and brain need sleep, and then I would get a solid like 9 to 10 hours of sleep.
Mentally during this, were there any times where you were just like, I want to break out of this and eat all the food, or or emotionally, do you have any like weird swings revolving around that?
Well, two different questions. Okay, so first with wanting to break out of it and wanting to eat. I mean, definitely when I was babysitting and I'm cooking like a quesadilla and these like fish things for the kids that I'm babysitting, I definitely wanted to participate in the eating with them, and I couldn't, and that was when I was like, man, I just want to eat. Like, this is babysitting is already a lot. You're in a new environment, and I wanted to eat. I was getting hungry, but I just like kind of took some breaths, and that feeling passed. Had the tomato soup and my tea. Loved the teas. Those were really, really helpful for me, especially that they are warm, so they kind of trick my body into that feeling. But in terms of emotions, I would definitely say there were days where I was very, I wouldn't know, irritable, but I wasn't taking any shit. You know, like, nope, you're not, I'm not in the mood to like play nice. I'm gonna tell you when you're getting on my nerves or you're asking me too many questions. And so I think I was probably like short and a little abrupt sometimes, but then there was other days where I felt like my ability to emotionally regulate was way better and clearer than it normally is, because I wasn't like, I just didn't feel like fogged up. I felt very much like in practice, and so moments that would typically cause a reaction to me, I felt like I was able to catch the moment more and not react, instead of like not planning, but choosing the way that I'm going to react instead of impulsively reacting. And that happened later on in the cleanse. It was also very interesting on like day 4, I started to realize I felt like my body was really purging a lot, and that was when I started to like notice some of the differences in the way that my body looked and the retention of like water I was holding, and the way I was moving. And I started to feel really interesting emotional stuff come up for me, like self-worth and like jealousy and comparing myself with other people. And those aren't really things that I feel very intensely all the time. I feel like I've done a lot of that work. But here, those things were coming up and they were more like at the surface. And it kind of felt like it was moving,
So you are really physically active, and I know you said that during the fast you were feeling like, oh, I'm running out of fuel a lot, but now that it's over, would you say that there's a difference in your strength? Have you lost strength? Have you gained anything physically? How are you performing now?
I would say after the fast, I feel more in my body. I'm more aware of just, my energy levels and how my body is performing. So there's like an awareness that really has come up and elevated since the fast. I'm also more aware of my munching habits. You know, when I go to eat something, I'm like, oh, am I eating this because I'm hungry, or am I eating this because I'm bored? Am I eating this because I'm procrastinating, or I don't want to have this conversation, or am I eating because I need fuel? And so that kind of feels, actually really good, because I'm making these choices now instead of just impulsively eating. And I feel, I just feel like more in my body and stronger overall.
A lot of what you do is body weight based. You're manipulating your own body in space, and so you, I can tell looking at you, you're a few pounds lighter. I know you said you didn't weigh yourself. Has that played into it?
Has my body weight played? Yeah, probably. I'm leaner, so my muscles are able to work probably differently now. So that's cool. Like my handstand practice, I feel like I have a little more endurance with static holds in handstands or in acro, and that feels good. You know, when you go to a yoga class or something and you feel really heavy, I'm not experiencing that kind of like heavy slowness. I feel very agile, and that's really nice.
Would you consider doing this on a somewhat regular basis in order to maintain that, or to like keep trim and keep that energetic feeling?
Oh, 100%. After I did the fast, I definitely was like, yep, so this is a new thing in my practice now. I want to do this at least once a month. For me, I pay a lot of attention to my cycle as a woman, and I feel like being able to mindfully place where I'm doing the fast is also really beneficial. So I had chosen to do the fast right after my period, so then I felt like that was a good place to do that, instead of like being unhealthy after this time. My body already naturally goes through a purge. I kind of got to just get more deliberate with myself, which feels like it's setting me up for feels like it's setting me up for success for like the rest of the month. And so I would like to do fasts once a month.
You mentioned that you really liked the food and like everything was tasty. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Like, was there anything that was like, I don't know if I really want to eat this, or was it always just like, oh, this is all great?
There were some times where I just wasn't hungry. You know, there were some soups like that I was like, man, I don't need it right now. I'm fine with just the tea, or I'm fine with just the olives. I wasn't hungry. I was trying to stay on the diet and on the structure. But yeah, I didn't feel like I always needed things, but I never ate something and didn't like it. You know, every time I ate it, I was like, this is really good. I'm pretty happy, you know, and people would be like, I'm so sorry that I'm eating pizza in front of you. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm eating tomato soups. Like, we're still in the same family of foods. Taste. If you are somebody who is considering doing a fast, or if you are somebody that is, you know, trying to become more aware and in touch with their body, then I would 100% say try a fast, try this Prolon fast. It's going to give you the structure that you need, and you're not going to be completely not eating, and so that's really a great benefit. But also you're going to learn so much about yourself, about your thoughts and your emotions, and just like what your body is capable of, because we're so capable of so many things. And I think that we need to make ourselves uncomfortable to be able to experience growth. And that's what I take away from this, is that this was a growing experience. And the tips that I would say for someone trying to do a fast would be write. You know, even when you don't feel like it, spend 5 minutes a day just kind of writing with your reflections, because at the end, when you go back and you look at what you went through, it's going to feel really good, and you're going to be proud of yourself.
So I hope you enjoyed that interview, guys. I hope you will consider giving fasting in some form a shot. A lot of people say Prolon makes this easier because they're not actually eating nothing. You're still eating something, and you don't need medical supervision. It's a safe way to do it. If you're interested in giving this a shot, you can use the link and discount code in the video notes below. I will get a few bucks if you decide to use that discount code. Up to you. Anyway, have a great day. See you later.